All right, so I am actually going to share my screen with you guys and make my thing go full. First, it will be on you guys, and then I'm gonna just make this full screen. Get rid of you guys. All right. Everyone see the know how to communicate with your customer. Always just want to make sure. Okay, good. Thanks, Crystal. Um, we're going to show you guys today how important messaging is with your ICA, which is Ideal Client Avatar. And this applies to whether you are brick and mortar, whether you're selling yourself, whatever it is. This is how we first begin to train our AI to be able to communicate efficiently. And so I always get this out of the way because some of you guys have been playing with AI for a while, and some of you guys are brand new to it. This is very much a beginner session, but a lot of people will ask me, is AI going to take over the world? The robots, the this, the that. And I do say the threat is real. But this isn't a scare tactic. This is to be very serious. AI is a tool, and if you're not using it, your competitors are. So the threat is that you need to jump on board and at least be aware of it. There's so many people that Crystal and I and Monica jumped into this world a little earlier. And the amount of people that still are afraid of AI or not wanting to use it, and I won't get on a soapbox about schools and different like organizations and businesses, but it's here. It's not going anywhere, and it's a fantastic tool. And that's where we kind of came up with our superpower theme is Crystal and I have been saying for a long time that you need to think about AI as like your superpower cape that you put on, because behind AI is a human. And it just allows you to compress time so much and really get a lot more done. So I learned this from one of my mentors, Jonathan Mast, who is amazing with AI. And I had a conversation with him, and I got this from him because he said at no point in history, and he's worked in marketing for years. He's had an agency for years and years. And he said, at no point in my life has there ever been a tool that I believe will save you as much money and save you as much time at the same time as providing exponentially more value to your clients or customers than AI. It is the trifecta of what's going on. And I absolutely agree with him. So this is where the AI plus you equals superhuman. Again, this is just to like really debunk any myths, because as we're talking more about marketing today, it really is, imagine if you had a superpower that could handle 70% of your marketing tasks for you quickly and accurately. And that is what AI can do. And today we're going to show you a very baseline. To me, it's the foundation of everything. And it just can build from here. This is one of the first things that Crystal and I actually did with AI. I've been in the marketing world for years and years. I worked in television for a long time, switched over to marketing and television. And when we started doing and finding this, what we're going to teach today, I used to do this for clients in about 2 weeks, and now I do it in about 45 minutes. All right. So it's all about content creation. Content is king, right? We hear that. We say that all the time. Whether you're trying to position yourself as a thought leader, just get more sales, get more clients, whatever it is, marketing is all about content creation. And there's four crucial steps, and this is our ecosystem. I'm not going to go over this in depth past step one today, but I how I learn things is I need to kind of see the entire roadmap. And so this is kind of showing you guys the ecosystem in which I use for our clients. And it's really about knowing your audience. A lot of times, an audience, customers, clients, insert whatever word you want to, um, is we think we do, right? Those of us that worked in television, we talked a lot about demographics. I'm going to go over that in a bit. But then the second step is really to know what your audience wants. And the third is to provide them value. So once you know what they want, once you know what their problem is, the third step is to solve that problem. And that leads to the fourth step in our ecosystem, which is building trust. I was speaking earlier on the Zoom for people that came in earlier, and I was saying how like I've friended a bunch of people on Facebook recently that we just have mutual connections. I don't actually know these guys. And a few of them have just instantly, after I've accepted the friend request, have jumped into my DMs and have tried to sell me on something. And it's instantly no more, like they're blocked. Because that is not how you get more customers, clients, or build an audience, right? Because what those people have not done is build any trust. They have not provided me any value. So why do I want to hear what they're selling? They could be the best in the world, but they don't understand just the very basics of marketing and becoming a thought leader, which is you need to provide value. And so again, we're going to be really focusing on know your audience today, but then we're going to take that and move into the content creation. All right, so know your customer, and I believe this is where, Crystal and I didn't come up with this. We found it. I wish I knew who did this, so I'd give them credit, but I don't. So we'll just go from here. So this is the example we give. Again, if you ever worked in television, we talked a lot about demographics. What's your demo? What's your demo? And so we pulled this demo of a male born in 1948, raised in the UK, we'll say married twice, lives in a castle, and is wealthy and famous. Okay, so that's if you know who your client or customers are, that's who now we're going to start doing all of our marketing to. So, of course, we were talking about King Charles, right? Male, 48, UK, married twice, lives in a castle, he's wealthy, and he's famous. But Ozzy Osbourne has those same demographics, the exact same demographics. I am not going to sell to Ozzy Osbourne or speak to Ozzy Osbourne the same way I would King Charles. We'll give you one more example. We'll see if anyone can get this. You can just throw it in the chat if you can. So, female, mother, mid-40s, wealthy, loves to give back, high profile marriage, fashion icon. I'll give you a hint, might still be part of the royal family. All right. So Kate Middleton, that's who we were talking about, right? Easy, fits those demographics. Well, Kim Kardashian also fits those exact demographics. And so what we're going to teach you guys is there's a lot more to speaking to your customer, your client, your potential whatever, than just the demographics. And we're going to get into the prompts that we do to do it. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and at least for temporary, and I'm going to set up. So I'm going to need, and I'm going to have Crystal help me with this, a volunteer. And I know Megan sent in her stuff, but I don't know if Megan is on. Megan, if you're on, unmute yourself and say you're on. Otherwise, we're going to pick a different person. I don't think she's on. Okay, she might have been one of the people that thought it was at 11 or at 1. All right, so Crystal, you help me out. I'm going to set this up. You find someone to be and I actually know that we have a couple of people in real estate, but who wants to go through and be the person that we actually workshop this through?
If you don't volunteer, I will pick for you, and that is a threat. Oh, Mike Fink, I love them, mon ami. Let's go.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen and we're going to ask you some questions, Mike. So hold on,
Mhm.
let me get my screen.
And I did not submit anything previously. Is that all right?
Oh, yeah, totally fine.
Perfect.
It's actually probably more fun. I wanted to see how many people would, and I know Megan did, but it's totally fine. Okay, so let's go back to the share screen. And can you guys all see this prompt one?
Sure can.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Okay, so Mike, I need to find out. So the first prompt, again, you guys, I'm going to give these to you. You don't have to write them out really quickly. If that helps you, write them out. But you guys will get all of these prompts right during this call, where we'll put it in the chat. So as a marketing specialist, so let me just go over one thing for people that do have not ever used ChatGPT or any kind of AI, whether it's Claude, Perplexity, Gemini, whatever. A very simple, basic framework of using these AI tools is we give them a role. So, because we are going to be diving into marketing, I am telling chat, because that's what we're going to use today, that they are a marketing specialist and their task is to create an ideal customer profile for, and this is the last one I did. So, Mike, what do you do?
I help women considering divorce get clarity and certainty about whether to divorce or not in 30 days or less.
Okay, so what's your title? We're going to create an ideal customer. Are you a coach? Are you like, how do
So
you,
yeah, clarity and decision-making expert and coach.
but how do they find you? Like, are you like, I'm trying to think, are you like a brick and mortar? I imagine you're an online coach.
Yes, online.
Okay, so we're going to create a customer profile for an online, um, would you say divorce coach or relationship coach?
It's clarity and decision-making.
An online coach, uh, who, an online, hold on, we'll say decision and clarity coach who works with
Women considering divorce.
women considering divorce. The business specializes in
So it's coaching, decision-making coaching or clarity and decision-making coaching. Done for you, done with you, and do-it-yourself formats.
done for you, done with you, and
Do it yourself.
formats. And so let me just ask a few more questions, because in this part, when you guys do this, this is the most you will have to insert in any of the prompts. Everything else is going to be quite simple. And the more you give to AI, the better. So I'm just going to try to get just a little bit more out of you. So let me just read this on my head. So as a marketing specialist, your task is to create an ideal customer profile for an online decision and clarity coach who works with women considering divorce. The business specializes in decision making coaching in a done for you, done with you, and do it for you, do it yourself formats. The main problem I try to solve is just helping them get clear on their decision.
It's getting them stuck out of indecision and fear of regret. Getting them unstuck, sorry, or bring, yeah. Or another way to put it is clarity and certainty so they know exactly what to do and why.
And tell me, you do this through coaching, or like you don't have to give me like big specifics, but just give me some kind of little nuggets of like what you would do with these women. Like I go through a series of questions or I take them through X, like,
So you want the format like video Zoom calls, for examples,
mhm.
or so the
Yeah,
done for you is video Zoom calls, one-on-one sessions where I guide them through a step-by-step process.
that's perfect. I do videos and calls that guide them through my framework,
Mhm.
which is a step by step process. Okay. We'll leave it there because what we'll do is as I begin to do this, we'll go back through and correct any of the AI that because it's not always perfect. Okay, so then your profile should be detailed and use a combination of demographics, which we just went over, psychographics, and behavioral data to identify the target market, their interests, and their yearly income. Please provide a clear and concise response that highlights the key characteristics of the ideal customer. You should focus on providing a detailed description of the target market, including age, gender, location, blah, 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 blah. And I will go over because, again, what difference would, and this is where we'll fill in, would working with me as their coach make in reaching their goals? Where do they feel powerless if they don't succeed in reaching a state of clarity? What is the worst case scenario if you don't
Or
know?
just stay stuck in the indecision.
Yes, if you, thank you, stay stuck in and let's see what difference and what would make it easier for you not to be in fear of working
Regret.
with me as your coach. Okay. So I'm literally just going to cut and paste this. And then I'm going to go over to my chat GPT. Can you guys all see that? Okay,
Eve,
perfect.
may I interject here clearly?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Did you skip, because I've attended Jonathan's training as well, based on your recommendation, which I thank you so much for that. He also says, ask any clarifying questions. Is that something that you skipped on purpose?
Yes, I did. And that is, I love that you got that because that is the best thing. Because I have developed this series of prompts, I absolutely, well, you know what? Let's do it. I love that you just brought that up. So, what Mike just brought up is so Jonathan, who is just this brilliant AI who just gives value, AI specialist, value, value, value. He developed a framework where at the end of it, he asks AI, no matter what his prompt is, please ask me any clarifying questions. And this actually will take a little longer, but I love this because I do think that's good. So, I'm going to, at the end of this, say, please ask me any clarifying questions to optimize this prompt. So then what ChatGPT now is going to do, and it's ignoring that. So that's fine. Because I've done this so many times, it probably already knows. But if it didn't have enough information to provide this, it would ask us. It would say, hey, tell me more. So, okay, so here we have the demographics. It's saying women ages 35 to 55, typically in midlife, where career, family, and personal fulfillment intersect. This range is most likely to face the complexities of marriage, marital challenges, and long-term decisions about divorce. Does that sound about right?
It's dead on.
Dead
It's
on.
exactly 35 to 55 women that I'm targeting. So
And just to give you guys kind of a that I used to work as a brand strategist many, many years ago, 20 years ago, maybe more than 20 years ago. For us to do this, when we would take on a client, it would take us no less than 2 weeks and three of us per team researching to get this information. what ChatGPT just did. And what I find, it will make mistakes, but I love how right off the bat, it got it right away. Like the age, the this. I mean, this is where AI is just all right, gender, predominantly female, occupation. And I'm just going to skip over some of these. If you're reading a mic and there's anything glaring, just holler out. But because this does take some time. So based in US, Canada, English speaking, average income. Okay, so then it begins to get into the psychographics. What keeps them up at night? Am I making the right choice for myself and my family? Will I regret my decision later? Sounds pretty spot on from what Mike has already shared with us. What are you scared this problem says about you? That I'm weak, that I lack courage, that I'm letting my family down, my children down. What do you do to avoid these triggers? What do you avoid because it triggers too much fear and anxiety? Well, probably discussing divorce. That sounds about right. Um, Financial planning or consulting an attorney. I bet when they consult attorney, that gets the wheels going. And reflecting deeply on their own needs due to the fear of confronting uncomfortable truths. Does that all sound pretty right?
Mhm.
Okay. What's the worst case scenario? Where will you feel powerless if you don't succeed? Creating a stable, fulfilling life, managing financial and emotional. Then it will begin to go over all the behavioral data, the key characteristics. So now it's beginning, and just so you guys know, we're going to take all this and we're training the AI. So as much as this information is pertinent to what we're doing, this is how they call this, like, prompt engineering. I mean, there's many names for it, but we're going to keep prompt stacking to basically train our AI to begin to be able to produce content for us that works, that speaks to our ICA. So that's why it's going over all this stuff. So it gives it the key characteristics. So now I'm going to go back to this document that I'm going to give you. And now I'm going to do the second prompt, which says, now I want you to create an avatar. So what we did above was a profile. So the profile to me is like the skeleton. Now we're going to put the skin, the flesh, the hair, all that stuff. So the avatar based on the ICA or persona description of the perfect client for the business above, what they like, how they behave, loyalty to your brand, and how they conduct business with you. Oh, it usually gives us like Emily. So today, Sarah, I love it. Age 42, project manager, lives in Atlanta, 95,000. I hope she's married, otherwise she wouldn't be considering divorce. Again, we're going to kind of just run through these personality traits: empathetic, analytical, but emotional. This all sounds good, just knowing a little bit about psychology and if she's contemplating this decision. Growth oriented, interests, values, digital behavior, customer behaviors, how they interact with the brand. And again, when you guys do this for you, you'll go through, and if there's anything that is like, that's not right, because there will be some things, right, that you know, because if you've been in business for a while, especially when we get to the pain points, you're actually going to have specifics because you've been in business for a while. And it is pulling from this wide ocean of information. So the more specific you can get in correcting it, the better your outcome is when you ask it to do certain things. So it totally went into how they interact with the brand. She initially discovered you through social media, ad, or a blog post titled "How to Stop the Fear of Divorce Regret." That's funny. If you didn't write that, it just made that up. So that could be something that, okay. Engages with your free content first: videos, clarity checklists, or short workshops. Love that, because again, this can give ideas. How they conduct business: prefers the done with you coaching model, where she feels supported but retains some control. So when you go through this again, Mike, you might have it do and only give it one and have like an ideal customer avatar for each of those, because they are going to be slightly different depending on what which one of those models they'd prefer. Brand
Okay.
loyalty. Now, this is where we're going to get into some of the stuff that I love. So the pain points, because we're going to keep prompting on these pain points, right? Because once we understand their pain points, that's when we begin to understand the type of content we can create that will actually get their attention. So some of the pain points is she feels stuck and overwhelmed. She worries about financial and emotional toll, needs help overcoming self-doubt and fear of judgment. Motivations. She wants peace of mind. She desires a clear framework to follow. I love when it says stuff like that. I don't think she's ever going to prefer a confusing one, but this is good, right? And longs for an empathetic guide who can provide clarity without judgment. Again, anything that doesn't sound correct, holler out. The difference you would make. Your perfect client's journey. This can get into some good stuff where she stumbles upon a free video. This is letting you know, and again, this is letting you know, but it's also going to be training for the next prompts, kind of how your potential client in this journey, how they come to you. So she stumbled upon you from a free video on YouTube or Instagram. She signed up for a free guide. She chooses the Done With You coaching program. By the end of the program, she feels confident about her decision and is grateful for your guidance, becomes an advocate of your brand, leaving glowing testimonials and sharing your work with friends. And just so you guys know, because ChatGPT, my version, I have the paid version, knows me because I have been using it for so long. It is actually doing stuff differently this time in a cool way where it's jumping to further stuff in this prompt that you might not get your client's perfect journey when you use these prompts. It actually is beginning to know me and what I'm going to ask next. So again, we'll have a recording of this because if you want this, you could literally just prompt it and say, would you please give me a step-by-step version of my perfect client's journey? It's not going to change the outcome of the prompts. It's just an interesting side note. All right, so the next prompt is please provide me with some of, and I'm going to change this to her now that we know it's a her pain points regarding, and I'm going to now say hiring me as her coach. We don't need that. Hiring me as her coach. Please give me the exact words she uses. This is important. If you've ever studied psychology and understand the power of parroting, if you talk like them and sound like them, you instantly begin to build a trust. Tanner, were you? I don't know if you were at the Golden Swan. I got to hang out with Chris Voss a few weeks ago, who is like wrote the book, Never Split the
That's the
Difference.
difference.
Yeah. Love that you know that. A lot of people do, a lot of people don't, but talk about jumping into the psychology of how to get, I mean, it was just mind blowing. So, okay, pain point Sarah might express about hiring you as a coach. She has a fear of wasting time and money, worried about being judged, doubt about her own abilities, concerned about the confidentiality. I wouldn't even have thought of that one, but that sounds spot on. She doesn't know about your process, and she's overwhelmed by the decision. She has a fear of being pushed too hard, hesitation around the vulnerability. Again, just to give a little bit behind the curtain, keep reminding you guys this is all prompt building, so this is going to help us get content. So even if this is making sense or this is a lot of fire hose to the face, just go with it because it will make sense later that once we establish what the people you want to work with, what they're saying, why they won't work with you, we flip it and we use that in our marketing materials to get ahead of that, right? Like if we can address, if I tell you, hey, we're already running late, this session, this is true, is probably going to go a little longer. Now when it hits noon and or hits the hour, it's different time zones, and we haven't gotten into the Q&A, I've let you know that ahead of time, right? So it's kind of the same concept. Like you're kind of following the bouncy ball, but you're a couple steps ahead. All right. So let's go to the next one. And we're almost done, and we'll get into the thing. We're not going to go over all these prompts. Please give me the exact thing she says, the exact things they say about their goals and dreams of having a successful, and it's not business because that was the last one, of having clarity around her decisions. And I'm going to take out all this other stuff because it's, well, actually, should I leave this, Mike? Because this would be probably part of her providing for her family, having more time with her family, and having better health? Or you think that's going to take us in a different rabbit hole?
It may take us a different route. If anything, I would say and create a better, a happier future.
Perfect. Okay. Clarity around her decisions and creating a better or happy future. Okay. All right, going back to good old ChatGPT. And if you haven't used ChatGPT, this will work in the free version. Just so you guys know, you sign up, you'll get a free version if you haven't used it. I assume at this point, most people have used it, but you might not have. So sorry for that assumption if you have not. Okay, so here's the exact word she uses: clarity. I just want to feel certain about my decision that I make the right one, not just for me, but my kids too. I dream of waking up one day and not second guessing myself. I just want to feel at peace with my choice. Again, I'm skimming through these. I want to look back on this decision in 5 years and know I did the right thing, not feel I made a huge mistake. I want to trust myself again. I want my kids to see a strong, happy version of me. I just want to feel calm and certain. Does that sound all pretty spot on?
I have to say, I've been doing a lot of work and I know my audience pretty well. So this kind of confirms everything that I know, most of it, and there's some interesting new insights. But I have to say, if I were to start in a new niche, all this would just blow my mind. Honestly, I know this is all good because I've been there for years.
Yeah.
If you are like to go in, if now I know I can take my process in a new niche and I can go with that, that would give me so much valuable information. So I can see, it's definitely very helpful.
We do this for every single one of our clients, and they're all like, they just like, I can't believe like what I paid, usually a brand strategist just to come up with this is usually 5 grand to do like this in a customer analysis. And we're like, yeah, let us give you these prompts for free and go. Go. Okay. This is why I love AI. All right. So then I'm going to do 2 more prompts. Maybe we'll see, because I want to be able to do some stuff. So map out for me 20 pain points that would stop them from, I'll keep purchasing my program. Actually, I'm going to change it to hiring me as a coach just to keep it clear. Hiring me as her coach. Focus on the avatars above and avatar. Sometimes, and this didn't apply to Mike, but sometimes ChatGPT, based on what you give it in the first prompt, will come up with a male or female avatar. If your audience is both, I a lot of time will go in and prompt it after they come up with whatever one, let's say male, I'll go in and prompt it to then also come up with a female one, just so again, when I start having it produce content for me, it has both sides. But because Mike, his ideal client avatar is primarily female, we're just going to keep it as that. So that's why in this prompt 5, it said avatars, but I just changed it to avatar. And the 20 possible outcomes and scenarios that the program can help them with. Okay. And you don't have to do 20. I just do 20. I like to feed it a lot. Just because the more I can give it, and if there was something in here that was like a no, and I'll show you that just in case anyone is new here. So let's say new here to using ChatGPT and this type of thing. Let's say number 11, what if I've gone, what if I'm too far gone to be helped? Okay, let's say that is absolutely incorrect. That is not something one of his clients would say. or potential clients, you could just literally prompt it and say, all of these look good except for number 11, 16, and 18. You could just prompt it that. And so then it will know, okay, it was incorrect in that, right? So these are the 20 pain points, 20 possible outcomes and scenarios the program can help them with. Gaining clarity, feeling empowered, reducing anxiety. And it just gives a little bit more for each one. Stronger role model, better communication. Again, I know I'm just flying through these, but I want to be able to get to all the good stuff and respect your guys' time. Feeling heard, reduce conflict, a support system, long-term benefits. And this is where even ChatGPT will ask you, would you like any help translating any of these outcomes and pain points into marketing materials such as testimonial, landing pages, and sales copy? When you do this, it might not ask you that. It's asking me that because it's already intuitively, because I've been doing this for so long, knowing that's normally where I'm going to go with this. This is the building blocks that Monica, Crystal, and I use to then say, okay, now I want you to do X, Y, and Z. So we'll get there in 2 seconds. I just want to see what the next one is because I added some more. I'm actually going to run through these really quick because I didn't do this in the last one. I took this a step further. Usually I stop at 4 and then jump into it because you can, like, the more you understand about marketing and stuff, the deeper and deeper and deeper you can go with really training. You're still going to get a good outcome if you just use those the 5 that we just did. But what I like to do is dive into their built-in biases and their decision-making process, what they think culturally, what they think, and what do they secretly desire in terms of success for these ultimate goals. Just for the people that took this last time, just giving just a little bit more. Why it goes over that, I just want to see what the next one is. Next scenarios. All right, and I'm going to skip, and then there is a prompt that I use that is called PSA copy or PAS copy, problem, agitation, and solution, and then attention, interest, desire, and action around the 20 pain points. And again, I'm not going to go way deep into it. I'm just going to put it in here because it's when I begin to go into now our content creation, it's just going to help. And again, I'm going to give you guys all these prompts so you can play with this. And it just really begins to dissect down these people so you actually know who you're talking to and you can talk to them. And when I say that, I am referring to not when you actually have them on a call. I'm referring to the marketing materials you are going to make that is going to attract them to want to work with you. Because again, knowing Chris Voss, right? If you understand how to speak with people, you can actually manipulate your way and manipulate. Don't take that as a bad word, but you can strategically learn how to get more people by understanding the way they think and the way they talk. So I'm going to do one more, that last one. And if you guys do use this and want to learn more about any of these prompts, you can learn them from ChatGPT by, after prompting it, do another prompt that says, I'm new to marketing. Would you please explain the methodology behind PAS copy? And it will explain it to you. Or the background behind the attention, interest, desire, and action. You can have a conversation with ChatGPT. All right. So now this is all one chat. Basically, we just trained ChatGPT. So now we can begin to make marketing materials. And I'm just going to throw some stuff out. I'm going to give you guys a few examples and then we'll just pick one, right? So I could now say, based on the information above, make me 20 Instagram posts that would attract my ideal client avatar. I could say, based on the information above, write me a 3 series email sequence that would provide value and attract and sell in the last one for my existing email list that I have, right? If you're collecting email, you could say, please provide me with LinkedIn posts. You could say, please provide me with a video script. So, Mike, what would you like ChatGPT to create first for you?
I have a question because I also wrote a book which I have uploaded on ChatGPT, all the chapters. So how could you cross this by saying, would you do a custom GPT with the book and then cross that with this kind of prompts and say, based on what I've given you in terms of my book? So, yeah, okay.
Oh, Mike, foreshadowing, foreshadowing. I love that question. I love this. So, those of you that don't know, we're actually teaching a workshop and we're going to give you guys, if you guys, it is a paid workshop, but anyone on this call right now is going to get it for half off and it's literally $100. So, it's $50 this week where we're going to show you exactly how to do that. And not only that, but also talk in your voice. I'll talk about that later, but the answer is absolutely yes. I would create a custom GPT, and that would be some of the knowledge that you would put into that GPT. And the
Yeah.
fact that you have a book, that's fantastic that you could do that. You can use ChatGPT to write a book. But okay, so going on just this, so the people that have no idea what a custom GPT is or a bot, we'll go over a little foreshadowing of that later. But what would be the marketing material you would like to use today?
Okay, so I actually got to meet you through Laurel Portier because you did an AI accelerated call.
Yeah,
So it's like create the power content pieces, 15 pieces of power content um, that would speak and create trust and speak to their pain points. Does it make sense?
yep, it totally makes sense. And then what do you want? Where do you want this content to go? Instagram, Facebook,
Facebook,
LinkedIn,
Facebook.
Facebook. Okay, so this is it, you guys. Here's where the fun starts. So I'm going to say, please use the information above. And you don't even have to say that, I do. And I also, Crystal and I and Monica joke, at least Crystal and I do. I think Monica does too, that we talk to ChatGPT as if it was a human and we are polite, as Crystal likes to say, because when the robots come to take over the world, they're going to remember that we were the nice ones. Okay, so please use the information above and create, I'm going to say 15 marketing. Actually, I'm not going to say marketing because that's obvious. 15 Facebook posts that provide value to my ICA. Now,
And can we specify that I would want like the script for videos that would be maybe 3 to 5 minutes long?
absolutely, the more you give it. So if we just did this, it would go off and do what it wanted, but he knows exactly what he wants. So let's say I would like you to create a, so you know what? Then this is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to say 15 minute. I'm going to change this. Please use the information above to create a, what did you say? 3 to 5 minute
3 to 5 minutes videos, or scripts for 3 to 5 minute videos that would provide valuable
a,
content based on their pain points, right?
yep. Okay. Please use the information above to create a 3 to 5 minute video script for me to shoot and use on and post
Just want to
on.
chime in, Eve.
Yeah,
ChatGPT is really bad with time. So if you want to give it 3 to 5 minutes, maybe do something like a
Right,
1,000 words or
right.
something like that. It will work better. It's still not going to give you 1,000 words, but it's going to give you probably 700 or 800 or something like
So
this. But
400 to 1,000 words. Let's put it like this.
okay, perfect. 400 to 1,000 word video script for me to shoot and use on Facebook. I do not need the camera information. just the voice over part of the script. I'm just saying that because normally it'll be like setting scene, birds flying in the background, so we'll see if it listens. Okay, here's what I will use the Jonathan one. Do you have any clarifying questions for me to optimize this? You can say task, you can say prompt. Okay, so it does have some questions. So it wants to know your tone. This is a big one, you guys. When one of the number one things that we hear over and over and over again when people use AI and they do not like that what it comes out is they say it doesn't sound like me, it sounds like ChatGPT, or it sounds like a robot wrote it. And I say, yes, that makes a lot of sense. Did you train it to talk like you? And they look at me like, no, I don't know how to do that. Now, again, foreshadowing to what we're going to be teaching later this week, there are multiple ways to do it. Monica, because she is one of the best, probably in the world at this, because I've done it 3 different ways, and hers was the best and the easiest. There are ways to train ChatGPT using prompts, where you do a series of prompts and it takes about 2 hours. And you actually train by prompting, giving all this information to then train ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or whatever you use to sound like you. Monica created, she calls it an app. It's literally software that you upload either something that you wrote, or you can upload a URL to a video that you posted on YouTube. Or you could literally, as I did, I just sat there and talked into my phone because I wanted it to sound like I speak, not like I write, because they can be different, right? And you put it in to this voice analysis, and in about 4 minutes, maybe less, it spits out a very detailed analysis of the voice, and you would insert that into your prompts. You can use it for any AI. It is an analysis that will always be your analysis unless you start speaking differently. We're not doing that today. So the number one thing, the target and tone, I'm just going to leave that blank. If it asks you these questions, you do not have to answer all of them. I just skim it. But the target tone, you would want it to sound like you, right? But we're not going to train ChatGPT today to do that. A call to action. Are you offering a free call, a downloadable resource, or something else at the end of the video?
So following Laurel's framework, it should be a download, or it should be a message me if you want to receive a downloadable resource.
Okay. So I'm just going to say number 2. The call to action should be message me. It's actually, I'm going to correct you because I know she's never message. She always wants you to drop a link in the comments below because it's going to spark the algorithm.
Yeah, but in my case, there's a distinction.
Oh, because of I know. Yes, I know now. They don't want to be known. Okay, you're right. Okay. So the CTA should be message, I'll say private message me. Private message me for my, I'm just going to make up a resource, checklist to clarity. Okay. Just some downloadable thing.
Okay.
Okay, audience focus. Should the video focus more on the pain points, the transformation, or even balance? I'm just going to say even balance. Again, you can go back and reprompt this, go thing and length. Do you prefer something closer to 400 words or the brevity of 1,000? I'm going to say you choose based on the information. Okay. Let's see what it does. I've worked in television. I would charge you probably $1,500 to write a script for you. Opening hook, already coming up with a hook. Are you lying awake at night, replaying the same questions over and over? Should I stay? Should I go? What if I make the wrong decision? If this sounds like you, you're not alone, and you don't have to do this alone. Instantly, that hook addressed two of the pain points that it came up with. And now also, you're not alone and they want a guide. You don't have to do this alone. Opening hook instantly spoke directly to their ICA. You don't have to understand marketing to get these results. This is the beauty of the AI and this whole thing. Introduction. Hi, my name is Mike, a clarity and decision coach for women like you who feel stuck and overwhelmed, trying to decide if staying in their marriage is the right choice or if it's time to move on. I know how heavy that uncertainty feels, the fear of regret, the guilt, the constant overthinking. It's exhausting. Boom. Again, the problem, it is addressing exactly the problem. If you're selling real estate, it will literally plug that in. I know, Katie, you have your glamping thing or whatever. Like, you guys can plug in whatever by answering these questions. These introduction problem, the hook is going to be tailored exactly to your business. The agitation, highlight the pain points. You've probably spent hours Googling things like, how do I know I should get divorced? Or talking to friends, hoping they have the magic answer. Again, this is probably 100%. I see you smiling. Of course, that's what they do. This is the building the trust, you guys. Like, you're telling them ahead of time, this is what you're feeling. And they're like, yes, this is what I'm feeling. This guy must know what he's talking about. But instead of feeling clear, you end up feeling more confused, more alone, and more afraid of making the wrong decision. Maybe you've heard the secret of what people think if you leave, or maybe you're scared of what people think if you leave. Maybe you're terrified of staying, of what staying could do to your happiness, your kids' happiness. Again, it's pulling on pain point after pain point. And then there's that nagging voice in the back of your mind. What if I choose wrong and I regret it the rest of my life? Transition, it's getting into the promise now. But here's the good news. You don't have to stay stuck in this loop. Clarity is closer than you think. Imagine waking up tomorrow feeling calm, confident, and clear about your decision, knowing you've explored every option and made the best choice for your future, for yourself and your future. Solution. That's exactly what I do. I help women. I've created a proven step-by-step framework that takes you from overwhelmed and paralyzed to empowered and certain. Through videos, calls, and my guided process, I'll help you uncover the answers you already have inside you. Together, we'll break through the fear and doubt and find the clarity you've been searching for. Now we're going to paint the picture, the outcome. You always want to sell the outcome. Picture this. You're finally free from the constant what ifs. You feel confident in your decision making and you're at peace with your choice, whether this means staying and rebuilding or moving on to start fresh. You know you've made the best decision, not just for your family, but for you. And the best part, you'll have a plan. You'll know your why and you'll stop second guessing. I'm going to skip over the empathy thing just to go. So, call to action. If you're ready to take the step towards clarity and peace of mind, I have something just for you. My checklist to clarity is a simple guide to help you start breaking through the confusion and overwhelm. And the best part, it's free. Send me a private message right now, and I'll personally send you my checklist to clarity. Let's start getting you unstuck so you can move forward with confidence. And just because I'm going to stop sharing the screen really quick, just because some of you guys might not be familiar with Laurel Portier and her whole framework, this is part of her ecosystem of doing, it's a lead magnet, basically. She calls it a value bomb, but it's a lead magnet that if we want to build trust with our potential clients, we need to give them some value. It's what most people do wrong in marketing. They do what I call the peacock portfolioing. They just say, this is what I do, hire me. This is what I do, hire me. And everybody's doing that. So there's no way to cut through the noise and distinguish what makes you different from them. So start paying attention to the things you buy. You know, I worked with a guy that was just a genius at marketing, and he taught me the trifecta of decision making when it came to making decisions on buying something. And it's usually you have to psychologically get hit in three different ways. And those three different ways is the marketer, like, we can usually find two, but the third one, and this is where we call it like the stealth influence, usually comes from not knowing that you're being sold to. So by Mike offering this free checklist, he's not selling them his program yet, right? He's just selling them a free checklist. They get that checklist. It's valuable. It's not going to solve their overall problem. That checklist is not going to give them clarity, but it's going to show that Mike is a thought leader and an expert in his field. They would have DM'd him. He's going to start a conversation with them. Conversations equal cash. That's directly from Laurel. And he's going to get in and start making connections and find some people. Do you guys want one more example of like Facebook posts or just a post so it's out of it? Or do you guys want to go into Q&A? One more example? Okay. Because that's very specific what Mike asked for. So I'll be like, okay, this, you guys can all see my screen still? ChatGPT, thank you, Crystal. Okay, this is great. Will you now provide me with 5 Instagram posts that provide value. Okay, we're not selling. We're just going to give value to my ICA. Do you have any questions for me before doing this? Tone. Yep. Okay. Call to action. Post format. Mix of styles. Okay, yeah, these are great questions. So I'm not going to answer tone because, yep. The call to action, since this is just a value post, I'm going to say no call to action. I have my link in my profile. Right? People know how to find you. And then, yes, please give me a mix of styles. Okay, carousel post. It's literally going to tell you. The first one, 5 signs you're ready to find clarity in your marriage decision. I might change that because if it was a cold one, right? I might change that to 5 signs you're ready to make the decision on divorce or something, right? So this is where I would go in and kind of reprompt it, looking at it through the lens of no one's ever seen. They're not familiar with Mike yet, right? But if they are familiar with you, this would be perfect, right? So you make that decision. There's not a right or wrong. You've been stuck on the same loop of overthinking for months. This is the slides. You feel drained. You've tried talking to friends. You avoid conversations because fear of regret holding you back. And I love the final slide. If this feels like you, clarity is closer than you think. He didn't ask anything. He's not coming off as that guy. I'm gonna give an example that some of you might cringe, but it's just my personality. If you met somebody that you're interested in romantically, if the first thing they said is, "Do you want to go home tonight?" You're probably gonna be like, red flag, right? So Mike's not gonna do that in his post. That's what a value post is. You're just giving value because then people are gonna start paying attention to you. This one's a static graphic. You deserve clarity, not chaos. The hardest part of being stuck in indecision isn't just overthinking. It takes a toll on your peace of mind. You're not just battling confusion. You're battling guilt, fear, and the weight of uncertainty. Here is the truth. Clarity isn't about making the perfect choice. It's about making the best choice for you with the confidence and peace in your heart. Love that. I can see you do too, Mike, right?
It's amazing how dead on it is.
Right?
Yeah, yeah,
You
I'm
guys, we've
very
been on this
impressed.
45 minutes, and this is 2 weeks and 5 grand worth of like what literally a brand strategist would charge, right? Gives a real idea, gives another carousel idea, static graphic, gives even the graphic. And if you were like, I don't even know what the graphic should be, what should I do? You could say, hey, I love post 5. what image should I include with this post?
Can you actually ask it to create the image?
Let me see if it will do it in this. Yes, I don't, because there is, you can use ChatGPT, you can use Dolly to go in and do it. Let's see if it will do it. I don't know if it will. I might have to jump into a different GPT, but we'll just see. Okay, so it's giving us multiple. I'm going to say, can you create image one? If it does, it's not going to do a great job. We'll see. Oh, it is going to do it. I love this. Okay. Because we gave it nothing but will you create it. So this could look like a cartoon. If you were going to create images, that's a whole nother thing. So it does look very cartoony, right? But that could be your thing. If I wanted it to look less cartoony, we'd do different prompts. That's a totally different workshop. But yep. And then you could literally download this, just hitting download. Boom, it just downloaded it. And you could do that for every single thing. So I know you guys, this is fire hose to the face. This is a lot of information, but by understanding and going back to my deck when I was doing the presentation, 4 things to clarity, right? 4 things to clarity or to the content. And the first one is understanding your customer. And that is something that I say this all the time. I've heard it in many different masterminds that I've been in. You can't read the label from inside the bottle. So even if you think you know all the answers to how to speak to your clients, customers, potential whatever, you probably don't. And if you want the clarity to get the questions or to get the content, those prompts easily make this happen very quickly. Mike, thank you so much for letting us use you as a guinea pig.
My pleasure. Will you share with me either on Facebook or the link to that conversation, actually?
Absolutely, I will. Absolutely, I will. So somebody asked something about the decision, the trifecta. What are some questions?
So we have one, someone asked if you would create a GPT around what we did today. So I'll let you and Monica get to that in a second. Joe asked, give us brief tales of the trifecta of marketing you learned from your coach.
Okay, so let me answer those in that order. So yes, we are teaching. So we did this workshop a couple weeks ago. We decided to do it again. Monica and I and Crystal are teaching a 3-day workshop. It'll be about an hour and a half each day, starting this Wednesday, same time, 11 o'clock. I won't even say the time because you guys are all over the world. So 1 o'clock New York time is what to do it, where we are going to go over even deeper because I showed you guys 5 prompts. There's actually 10 to train it to get the most out of your ICA. Again, what I gave you today is gold. It's not like if you can't do the workshop later this week, you can't use this. You're still going to get good stuff. But I've been doing this for about 2 years now, to where I keep refining it and have made those prompts a lot more detailed. So on the first day, we're going to go over that. On the second day, we're going to answer questions, help you guys actually go through it if you had any issues, and then give you access to Monica's genius, literally her voice analysis. So we'll give you guys homework, you go do that. So then you'll get the prompt. And then on the third day, we're literally going to go in. We'll start it on the second day. We're going to go in and you guys are going to create your own business bot. So you never have to go in and prompt it again. You won't have to go back to that chat. I will share with you guys if you guys are not used to, it sounds like a lot of you are, but what we're going to do is in ChatGPT, there is something called GPTs. And basically, it takes everything you do in a prompt. And it basically, I say it's like taking all the instructions and putting it in an envelope and you never have to open it again. It trains it. So if I wanted to go to, what's one that I do? Oh, here's one, Mike, that you should know about. This is one that I created for Laurel, right? So this is what this isn't what we're going to create for you, but this is showing an example. So Laurel has a very, very in-depth way of creating value bombs. They're kind of hard, right? So I created this GPT for her where now you as the user just go in and you click and it will just say, I'd love to help you answer these questions and I'll get into it. And my clients are women who need clarity on divorce. And I'm not going to go over all this, but I'm just showing you really quick. And I help them get clarity. And then it's going to go in and say, okay, here are 3 problems that are contributing to that. And it will go over these 3 problems because this is how you do the value bombs in Laurel's ecosystem. You would answer that and go. So picture if there was a bot that you guys go in and let's say it's just called like the divorce clarity bot, whatever you want to call it, right? It's for you to use for your marketing. And instead of having to go through the ICA and every single time take the analysis that the voice analysis app that Monica created and paste it in, it's just going to do it. How do you register for the workshop? I'll have Crystal put a link in the thing. And just know if you use the code superhero, it's not 97, it takes it down to 47. Like we're just doing it. It's kind of our task because we want to actually, we're doing this kind of as a pilot program beta because we want to see how these bots, we use them. Crystal and I have been creating these for all of our agency clients. That's just what we do. I don't sit there and prompt it over and over and over again. That would take me forever, right? So I create a GPT for each of my clients, and then I'll go in and be like, hey, create me an email sequence based on Donald Miller's, framework of the customer journey that will just speak to my ideal customer avatar in my cold stack or people I've never talked to or people that are in my email list or whatever, and it will do it. What was the question read me the question, the second question, Crystal, about the trifecta decision making?
Yes, Joe asked for a little overview, brief details on the trifecta of marketing that you learned.
Okay, so I will give this exactly how it was taught to me, because I used to work for a film producer who was a genius at marketing. And he was really hard to work for because he was a genius at marketing. And he pushed my limits so much. So what he said is it's like a stool, 3-legged stool, right? The decision of it's a trifecta. And I'm going to use the example of buying a car because we've all probably bought a car. So you're thinking about buying a car and your neighbor just got a Toyota RAV4 and you think it's good looking, right? So that's like the first impression point of like, okay, so now your decision is, and this isn't the trifecta yet, this is just the messages out there, right? So then you are watching TV and you see an ad for the RAV4 and you like everything that it says. Like it has everything you want in your price range. You're like, okay, that's cool, right? Then you're sitting at the doctor's office and you open like Consumer Reports and they have this great article on Toyota and what a great company it is. All right. So there are 2 things that are basically like they did that on purpose, right? They got in Consumer Reports, consumer won't even go into that. But those are like traditional marketing, TV ads or whatever. What usually is going to push you to make the decision is not another ad, right? You have been inundated with the marketing. It's going to be coming in from what I call the back door or stealth marketing, stealth influence. And us as marketers have to think of how we're going to do that. But an organic example would be you're at the gym and you're eavesdropping on a conversation and someone's talking about their new RAV4 and how much they love it. So you don't think they're trying to sell you, and all of a sudden you get trust with it. It's like testimonials. When you guys go to Amazon and want to buy that cool little gadget that promises it's going to take away all your wrinkles and plump your lips, what's the first thing you do? You go to those reviews and you see what other people did, right? So that's not necessarily the stealth, but it's all part of it. So it's like the trifecta of decision making is there's usually two avenues that are going to come in from normal channels to market to you. A billboard, an ad, a radio ad, whatever it is. It's actually going to have an ask, right? The third one is all value. You're getting it from something that you do not feel like you're being sold. And that's a lot about what Monica and I and Crystal do together with clients is we teach them how to provide value to their customers or their potential clients so they begin to get that trust, because once you've built trust with someone, it's so much easier to sell to someone you've already sold to that likes you, right? But if you don't have that pile, how do you turn those people into clients? Well, you have to begin to establish that trust. And we do that through value posts, blogs, answering the questions that they have, answering the problems that they have questions to, right? It's a whole ecosystem that we do, but that's all part of it. So that's a very quick answer to a very complex strategy of marketing, but that I hope that at least gets you where you need to go, Joe. Yes, Mike.
So this is fantastic in terms of the content to create. Do you have any resources in terms of once you have this content, how to produce it quickly? Let's say you want to create a video. Would you use a prompter? Would you put it on your camera, on your iPhone? I mean, do you have any hints and tips or any resources on that? Because now that you have the what, it's the how to create it quickly, or if you have any hacks or tips.
Yeah, let me Monica, if you have anything, drop it in the chat. Crystal, will you drop a link to our Facebook group in the chat? So both Monica, Crystal and I do some stuff together, marketing. Monica does some stuff together separate, and then we do a lot of stuff together. And I think between the two of us, we probably have resources that can help you. But yes, that there's many different answers to that because depending on whether you want to be on camera yourself. If you are following Laurel's ecosystem, I would say yes, right? Like they don't want to see a faceless coach, right? So yes, I would tell you download the app Prompt Smart, which actually is a teleprompter. I use it all the time. And make the video. Crystal was an influencer. She was one of the original influencer, meaning that 15 years ago, she blew up and gained 500,000 followers. She is natural as all can get out on camera, does everything in one take. I'm like, redo. In fact, I watched a video that we shot when I first started. And I literally, if I'm watching it without the sound, I look angry as F. Like, I'm just like, so I say just go do it. Just go do it. But depending on what you want, there's many different ways to do it using AI. And then look, the traditional way that I tell people, don't ever think it. If you have a smartphone, you have a video camera. I wouldn't even worry about a microphone right now. We get caught up in all these, it needs to be perfect. No, just get it out there. Just get it out there. People don't like perfect anymore.
Cool,
Having,
thanks.
having about 15 years in content creation, I'm always happy to jump on a call too and give you any tips, especially if you are comfortable, I can get you there faster. And if you're not comfortable, I can get you started. But everything what Eve said is exactly right. You just start. Don't wait for anything to be perfect. Just get it going and then refine and refine and refine. And now we have one other question. Someone asked
Can I just say something about all this
Oh, sure.
conversation? Yeah. So I work with clients to do all kinds of things in their businesses like automation and all that. And I also teach people how to start AI businesses. And one thing that everybody seems to want is everything to be done by AI and for them to just do nothing, which is fine. You can create faceless videos, for example, and just get your script that goes into an automation that makes a video and even posts it. However, especially for people that work face to face with other people, like coaches, agencies, like anything that is not we sell shoes or something like that. One of the most important things about building trust is people seeing the real you on camera. Because when we look at people, we don't just listen to their voice, but we listen to their body language. We look at how they express themselves. And all these things either attract us to these people or they repel us. And this is super, super important because the people that are repelled by your message or by the way you look or how old you are or, whatever that is, they're never going to be your clients and they're going to disqualify themselves automatically. But the ones that are going to be working with you eventually, they will be attracted by what they see. And the more they see of that, the more trust you build and the more and the more attractive your offer becomes, but there's no shortcut. That's the thing. There's no shortcut in that. It doesn't matter how many AIs we use for whatever. If you want to build that trust, you have to take the time to actually be on camera. Something that I have found for people that feel a little bit intimidated by a camera, or people like for example, I cannot follow a script. Like if I follow a script, if I read on a teleprompter, I sound like a freaking robot. And I look idiotic because I'm like freaking out if I'm gonna miss a word. So for me, like my crutch is I do over the shoulder things. So I'll be on camera for like 15, 20 seconds talking about something. And then I'll be like, let me change my screen and I'll show you. And I still show on the screen like a little square in the bottom. But once I see my screen, my brain goes into I don't know, working mode. And I don't have to think about that I'm on camera. So yeah, there's different ways. And I kind of went on a tangent a little bit, but my point was there's no shortcut if you want people to like you and trust you.
And you seem, Mike, not knowing you, literally you presence and I read people's energy, like it's calming. I can see that you're probably very good at what you do, right? Like you just like people have that. So for you, I think you would be brilliant on camera. It's just doing it. And the best thing that I think I heard in one of Laurel's classes was go ugly early, meaning don't worry about the first iteration, right? You're going to do it again and again and again, and it's going to get better and better. And another student said, I finally had to give myself 2 retakes. That's it. After the second retake, the third, if I messed up, I messed up. And that really helped me because ironically, my dogs have not jumped in my lap. But usually, when I'm sitting at the desk talking to my camera or talking to Zoom, my dog tries to get in my lap and wants my attention. And I just started going with it. And it actually produced one of our best viewed videos when I was giving information. And I just instantly changed it on the fly to what do I do when I'm being distracted? Like, come here, puppy. But yeah, so who else has a question? Crystal, anything in the chat?
Yeah, we had one in regards to GPT versus Claude and just what we liked better. And I don't know, I think all of us have different answers. So I'll just take it really quick. I am a big fan of Claude. I think Claude is much nicer. If Claude were a person, I would like to get tea with him. Like, I really like the output better. I find that the content it puts out is very realistic, human. And for me personally, I have to do less voice editing work. Although if you take the workshop this week, all of this is a moot point because Monica will actually tell you how to do it properly. Yes, well, actually, I probably do just like Claude because it's Cloud. This is not Claude, it's Cloud, Mr. Cloud.
But let me jump in and just say to that point, even the workshop that we're doing this week, you can do the same thing. The GPT, like you can create in Claude, whatever it is. I say Claude too, probably because I've been talking to Crystal. You can create a project, which is just like a GPT. The only difference is you can't share that project, at least not right now. So when you create a GPT, you can share that GPT with your team, with anybody. If you do it in Claude, it is only within the person that logged in, but it's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. Anyway, sorry, Crystal, to interrupt.
No, that's okay. It really just comes down to how you prefer to be spoken to by your robots. I mean, I think Claude is very sweet and kind and considerate. I just like the interaction better. And ChatGPT is very direct to the point and is going to give you what you want. So it really just come down to personal preference. But Monty, Eve, if you guys have different feelings on that, obviously let the people know. But I'm a big Claude person.
Yeah, so ChatGPT is very direct, no fluff and all that. So that's me. Like I cannot do fluff however I try. But Claude is my full stack developer. So I use Claude 99.9% for coding. I use it for almost nothing else. And Claude codes much better, much cleaner, and it finds mistakes much faster. So this is how I use them. Yeah,
And I go back and forth.
yeah, like you said, every one of us has our own preferences. So just because one of us likes something over something else, it's like cards. Just because, I like a certain car doesn't mean that's the best in the world and everybody should have that car.
And I think everyone has their own process too. It's like, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to get at? And is that the best way? Some of us like to do our research in GPT. Some of us like to go Perplexity into GPT, into Claude. There's so many different workflows. And once you play with it enough, you kind of figure out, what fits best and what feels best for you.
And that's what I was going to jump in and say is you can use Perplexity if you haven't. You can. You get X amount of free uses a day. So I don't even think Crystal pays for the paid version. We have a subscription because we got it free through having a subscription to Zoom. I do all my research in Perplexity and I take that into ChatGPT. But just so it's not like crazy to you guys, I've been playing with AI for like 2.5 years. Like literally right when it really started going, we were working on a television show and producers were coming in and being like, check out this new AI thing. And I was like, AI like robots? Like, what are you talking about? Right. So I've been exposed to it. So I think the easiest way, if you're new, because I know some of the people on the call here are new to this, just start with whichever one. There's a free version for everything and just play. Have that like childlike, just you're not going to break it, just play and jump into our Facebook group and we if you have questions, we answer them.
And one of my favorite things, just to add on to that, Eve, that Jason said that I never really thought about, but I didn't realize I was doing it. AI is a judgment-free zone. If you don't know, it's okay. Just ask it. AI is not going to judge you. And I didn't realize that I felt like when it asked me a question that I didn't know, that I felt like I was stupid. I was like, oh God, I don't know. Now the AI thinks I'm dumb. No, AI is a judgment-free zone. So say what you need to say. Looks like
Mike,
Yeah, a quick one. Because I got to know you at that meeting with Jason Schemmel or maybe I'm mispronouncing his last name,
yeah.
where he was talking about Perplexity. Do you have an update? Because at that time, one of the key components that made Perplexity great was sourcing. But right at that time, GPT came out and sources like beautifully now and searched the internet. So seeing between then and now, do you find that GPT has caught up with Perplexity, or would you still go with Perplexity for research?
I would still go with Perplexity just because Perplexity's knowledge base goes more to the current time than GPT. So ChatGPT only has knowledge up until, I don't know, October of 2023 or something. And Perplexity is, I don't know exactly what it is, but when it searches stuff, it's actually pulling from knowledge closer to today. I don't know exactly. Eventually, I do think they're just going to go like this. I mean, Crystal and I got all into Gemini for a while and thought Gemini was great. And now I hate Gemini, but Google's AI. But now they're going into all major businesses and all my friends that are like work in the corporate world are like, I use Gemini and it's awesome. It summarizes my notes. And I'm like, great.
there's
Little do you know.
a couple of things when it comes to Perplexity versus GPT. So GPT is citing sources, certainly not to the level and extent that Perplexity is, but I will say that one of the main benefits of using Perplexity over that is actually going to be the related questions that you get to have at the end of any search that you do. And I find those questions to be a lot of the time absolutely brilliant and things that I wouldn't think about. So if I'm doing research on a certain subject, it'll say, what does X think about Y? And it'll bring up even more and even more. And I think it actually sends your research down a path that is more, I think it's fuller and provides a bigger picture of what you're looking to get, where GPT is just going to give you that information and you'll have to prompt it and think of it, where Perplexity really is going to guide that that research journey that you're on, which I think is like hugely beneficial, and when it comes to content creation has benefited me greatly. So I think that's where at the end of the day I'll always choose Perplexity.
Now, it may sound like an obvious question, but how do you define doing research? Because we could argue that what we just did today was research on my avatar. So
Yeah.
what kind of research, quote unquote, is the one that you use Perplexity for?
Absolutely. So one of the main reasons, or one of the main uses I use Perplexity for, is to find out what people are looking for in my niche, or what they're interested in, or what is trending. Because that information is so up to date, I can find out what's going on. So while you have those pain points and everything we got from our GPT today, you can take that into Perplexity and get real-time searches with sources cited on actual problems. So if you need more clarity, it may pull a Reddit thread. It may pull an article that was written that answers that question or reframes it for you. So it kind of, when you're getting into content creation en masse and you're doing like bulk content creation, you're doing, say, a blog post a day, to get into those little details of exactly how we can reframe what we're doing and exactly what people are looking for becomes very, very beneficial.
That's helpful. Thanks.
Mhm. Merci, merci.
And yeah, anyone I just read in the thing, I know Crystal's looking into it, that signed up for the workshop and paid the 97, we'll figure out how to get you we'll figure that out 100%.
I'm working on it on the on the sidelines. So sorry about that, Jill. It's going to take a couple minutes over here. As soon as we're done here, we'll get it sorted out for you.
Any other questions, you guys? I'm so psyched. Most of you guys, I know a couple people had to jump off, but there's still a lot of you on. So marketing questions, AI questions, automation questions. Again, we're here. It is 12:30, so I understand if anyone has to jump, that we usually are an hour and a half. But I know I can stay on. I'm guessing Monica can, because it's like, what, 4 a.m. your time? She's like,
It's
okay.
5:30, but yeah. Well, while people are thinking about questions, I just want to kind of put some thoughts into the future, because as you've said, this first 3-day workshop is kind of like a pilot for us, to see how we go, what people want and all that. But in the future, we're envisioning a few more things, because can you imagine, like after this workshop, you'll have this one custom GPT. But imagine if you have a whole, team, like team of GPTs, where you can have a board meeting with them. So imagine when you go to a face-to-face board meeting, you have your marketing director, you have sales, you have, I don't know, the admin people, whatever you have. Imagine if all this is virtual and you're not paying a cent to these people. So this is called GPT stacking. So you go into a conversation and you can start bringing each of your GPTs into this conversation, and each one of those GPTs knows what's happened in this conversation above. So you don't have to repeat yourself. So we're thinking about starting to teach you guys how to do more of that stuff. And that's 2025, because we have like 4 weeks until Christmas, or 3 weeks until Christmas. But I just want to get your kind of imagination going, as to what is possible to create with your business. And this is like step one, creating GPTs. Now, if we go further down the track, we can start, completely automating these things. So you don't even have to have these board meetings. They have these board meetings without you. You just, they present the result at the end and you just approve or disapprove. But yeah, AI is moving very fast, and you guys really need to push on the accelerator now, because like a lot of people are still talking about, how to prompt, a GPT, how to create a prompt in a normal GPT or Claude to do this. People are already talking about how we're creating agents that are like, you just give them a task and the agent goes and does it, which is 2025. And OpenAI, I believe, are going to come up with some sort of an agent, because at the moment we have normal chat GPT window where we type, we have custom GPTs, Then we have Assistants API that allows you to work with the API and create apps and tools. And then I think the fourth iteration will be those autonomous agents. So you really need to start getting on these first 1 and 2 steps, because otherwise these 1 and 2 steps at some point will be kind of like, oh, this is so 1980s.
But to her point, the fact that you're on this call, you're already ahead of so many people, right? Like I talk to people daily just in my life, and it's interesting. There are people, like I went on a hike a couple days ago with someone that works in the in my industry in television. She works for Tasty, a subset of BuzzFeed, and she works from home. And she's like, I use ChatGPT all the time to do blah 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 blah. And I was like, well, how do you prompt it? And she was like, what do you mean? And I was like, do you have a specific prompt framework that you like? She didn't know what that was. That's the beauty kind of this, is that she has actually found this tool to be useful to her, but she's only using, if this was like a Swiss Army knife, she's only using the fork. She's holding this tool and she doesn't realize it has so many other ways to do it, because she just has it, which isn't a bad thing. That's not a judgment call. It's just a fact. So I love what Monica said, because Monica, I would say, you're probably a year ahead of probably most people, if not a little bit more, because you got into the automating so quickly and you understand it so much, which is amazing, because that's, we're teaming up because I'm like, we have all these agency clients and I want to start automating them, and we're teaming up and whatever. And it's great. At the same time, when you're a solopreneur and you're an entrepreneur, taking those baby steps to get there, but you got it, to Monica's point, keep taking those steps and getting into it. And if you're at all interested, it is like, just keep doing it. And if you can't come to the workshop this week, we are going to have a replay, and we're going to do more. I mean, we've all teamed up because we love this stuff so much. And just out of our just organic audience, we're getting about 20 to 30 people every time interested. And my favorite part of doing this and giving this information is when you guys message me and be like, oh my God, I had ChatGPT create this post and it's the first time anyone's ever engaged with it, And I'm like, that's not me, that's you. You're the one. I just gave you I showed you the door where you could walk in and pick up your superhuman, your superhero cape, and you just put it on.
Exactly, exactly. And to just tack on to what Monica was saying about 2025, where we kind of, you'll see that obviously there's the three of us and we all have our different specialties and areas of expertise. If you've seen any of the ads for the workshop that's happening this week, or even for this one, and you thought, my gosh, how did Crystal become a superhero? How did E become a superhero? How did Monica become a superhero? We are going to be diving into the art side of things. So you can create special images, specific images for your content as your business grows, which is really, really exciting. Bringing that up because I can't stop making videos, pictures, all of that to really get the brand looking prime. So this is one of the things that's going to be coming to you for next year.
And one other thing, guys, I read, I don't know how good the stats are, but in 2024, about 27% of businesses across the world were using AI and implementing AI or teaching AI or whatever that is with AI. It was like less than 30%. So imagine how far you are from everybody else, because at some point it will be, oh shit. This will be the message across the business world. It's going to be the same as, if you guys are old enough to remember the late 1990s, early 2000s, when the internet came along, and most of the business world was like, what is this email thing, such a scam? Who needs a domain? This is just too much work. And now you talk to somebody and they're like, I don't have a website. And you start looking at them funny. It's like, are you a legit business? Or like, who doesn't have an email? So we're going through the same thing, just 100 times faster. So things that were happening within 5+ years back then now are happening within 6 to 12 months. And that's how fast everything is changing. So I just want you guys to avoid the oh shit thing.
I love this. I think we need to get a shirt. Avoid the oh shit.
Avoid the oh shit.
Oh, you guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. Any more questions, you guys? I appreciate you guys staying on. Um, if there's no more questions, we can go. Happy to stay on again. I have another 20 minutes before I have to go. If you guys do have any questions, if not, I hope to see you guys later this week. And if not, I hope to see you guys in the Facebook group. And we're going to be, like I said, doing a lot more of these in the future. So.
And I'll pop the link to the workshop with the code one last time for anyone that missed it. There you go. And then go ahead and join our Facebook group. It's in there as well. Oh, it looks like we have a question.
Yay, Martin.
There you go. You can tell I'm techie because I was on mute. Just a marketing one, really. I mean, you mentioned Ada and Pass, and obviously, I mean, the variety of other frameworks as well. Do you have anything that indicates when it's a good idea to use framework A versus B, C, D, E, etc.?
Nah, that's a great question. What I find in marketing, and it might not be, well, I'll just answer it, is I say this to my clients or when I'm in the process of trying to onboard them, become a client. I don't believe there is a specific way to reach your goal. There are multiple ways. And the idea is to take one idea and do it and get the data and then pivot. Because to me, marketing is like a game and there's not one way to win it. And so I see a lot of coaches and gurus and whatever be like, use my specific framework and you're going to go viral. Well, no, they can't even say that because you're not the same. There's too many variables in that. So it really depends on what the goal is and then what one to pull the trigger on and then to collect that data. And I think with most people, at least in my experience early on with businesses that I had, I was always so gun shy to wait for the data because that's gonna begin to build my roadmap, right? Like the way that we work with clients is we kind of get all this analysis and do all this stuff with them, and we build out a roadmap for 12 months. But I tell them, month 4, we might take a completely different turn because the data is coming back and saying, you know what? It really looks like you get more clients walking in your door based on a Facebook ad than going to this convention that's going to cost you 10 grand. And so we're going to pivot so it really is based on the data. One thing one of my coaches said, and I love this because as entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, business owners, whatever, it's like we have this goal, and that goal is like 6 miles down the road, right? And Martin, what it looks like 6 miles down the road, but you're 6 miles back. So what are you gonna do? Well, you need to get in your truck or your car, use the keys, and turn on the headlights. And once the headlights are on, you can now see 30 feet in front of you. You're going to go those 30 feet because guess what? When you go those 30 feet, you're going to see the next 30 feet. So it's kind of a long answer, maybe complicated and vague. But if I was to say, yes, you should start off with Facebook ads versus that, it's like I would need more information. But if you kind of have an inkling, go try something and gather the data. We always say there's no such thing as failure. There's just data. A marketing campaign isn't going to fail. It really is going to provide you with data to tell you what's your next move.
Hmm.
If you have a specific, I'm totally happy to dive into it and give you better advice, but that's the very broad.
Yeah, no, broad is fine. Because I was thinking rather than like, Facebook ads or whatever, I see 4 or 5 popular frameworks for the psychology of marketing, like Ada, you know, your attraction, intention, desire, etc. You've got your problem, agitate, solution, and there's many more. And I was just wondering, you know, if there was a kind of like, yeah, use this particular framework when you've got this particular thing, or is it more a case of, as I think you've said, it all depends.
Yeah, I think it all depends. I mean, I just kind of became obsessed with it at some point in life and started just reading a lot. And one of the things, and this is kind of just like a bonus tip if you don't do a lot of stuff with I will say to AI, like one of my favorite books, it's right here. I'll even show it to you. Two of my favorite books. Three is The Ultimate Sales Letter by Dan Kennedy. I reference this in a lot of my prompts, literally like old school, just a way to write a sales letter, which could turn into a video. My dog chewed up this one, but Rethink Everything You Know About Social Media. And then literally Donald Miller, Building a Story Brand. I will say, use the framework from Donald Miller's book, Building a Story Brand, to create blah, 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 right? And to me, because we work with so many different clients, you know, I get to like try things out with many different genres and niches and kind of see, and it really is based on the client and what their ICA is, you know. It's also a question that you could ask ChatGPT, you know, based on the information I've provided you, this is my goal. Will you write me a marketing strategy for X, Y, and Z? Crystal and I, when we're working, we always start there. I mean, I go in and humanize it because it's not always right or it's not always what I think it should do, but it's quite good at giving some out of the box things.
And just
Fantastic.
following from Eve, whatever she just said, like there's also frameworks and there's techniques. So we're going a little bit further down, and that's what we're going to do with that GPT. We're going to show you how to build during the workshop. We're going to show you a framework, specific framework for content, but then we're going to give you a technique to implement with this framework, which is going, you know, one step further, deeper to actually create even better content. And just to add, there's many frameworks, there's many techniques, there's many, and just like Facebook works, Facebook ads work, webinars work, messaging works, they all work, but it depends on who you're talking to, and it also depends what you like. Like we always at some point come down to our own preferences, you know, because we all talk different to people. So your framework can be completely different from mine because the way we communicate is very, very different. But it's always good to explore and test everything new that you come across and see if it works for you. So again, what Laurel teaches everybody is you need to work with your own data rather than taking somebody else's advice and data and put it into your own business, because somebody else's data is probably not going to work for you.
90 days.
90
days
days to data.
We won't work with a client that won't sign up for at least 6 months anymore. Crystal and I did it, and we first said 90 days. And at 90 days, a lot of them were like, well, it's not moved the needle. It's like, it really takes a year if you're doing organic. Let me just put that out there. A lot of what Crystal and I do with our agency is 90% organic. It's a whole ecosystem that we can combine with paid with Laurel, and now we're combining with Monica with automated. But it really is like, to me, it's that flywheel of getting everything going. And the beauty of it is now with AI, it's super easy, but everything kind of working together and making it easier to where you do your paid ads, but you do your blog posts, and you take those blog posts and it makes your SEO jump. And then you use that for your social media and your calls to actions. And then Monica puts it so it's not manually doing it, and it becomes so much easier. So you can focus on whatever it is you do. Just really quick, I did put the link to those prompts in the chat at 12:49. I wish I would have remembered to do that. Sorry. We will put it in the Facebook group. Monica can put them in the school, her school group for anyone that jumped on or off just because I did add to them from the last workshop that we did just to go a little bit deeper who took it. Again, I keep changing them and going deeper and deeper. And then people take them and then they send me their version and cool stuff they've learned. So I've taken those and added them. So it's constantly an evolving framework. But the first four have always stayed consistent. Like, and that's what I say, like, use these four prompts and you will start seeing your everything change as far as like how you're actually talking to people.
Right. I just want to say for all three of you, and indeed for Mike as well, thank you very much. Really useful.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And Mike, yeah, again, thank you to Mike for really opening up and being a great student who gave very clear and concise answers.
I was able to help. I mean, this was very, very good. And hopefully also the fact that I could validate everything that it says was helpful to others. But
yeah, it would have been awful if you were like, this is bullshit. It's
what is
never
it talking
happened,
about?
but I'm always like, what if they're like, no, that really doesn't, no. It's like, okay, this is going to be a workshop on reprompting. No, thank you. That is awesome. Stacy, so good seeing you too.
That's
Again,
great,
Stacy
Eve.
and I
Thank
worked
you so
together in LA
much.
years ago, and I just love that you jumped on. And again, how did you jump on? I kept providing content and putting stuff out there. So when I said, please join my free thing, she said yes, which I love because that's proof that you somehow gained a little bit of trust in what I was talking about to jump on. I haven't seen Stacy literally in probably 15 years.
Yeah, probably 15 years. Yeah. I wanted to see what all this was about. It was amazing. Really fun.
I love it.
Thank
I
you.
love it. Thank you.
We so appreciate all your time this morning, you guys. It was so lovely hanging out. And thanks for taking time out of your day to hang out with us, learn some stuff. And for those of you guys that'll be joining us this week for class, if you thought today was great, it's going to be a great week. And we're going to start 2025 off really strong. This class is really going to get you where you need to be to really start slaying. So while everyone else is hanging back, having the eggnog and gingerbreads, you're having a workshop, a nice class with the three of us that's going to put you eons ahead of your competition. So I'm really stoked.
Again, any more questions? We got 8 minutes if anyone has anything else. Again,
Send you a
anything.
private message on Facebook to get the conversation you created in ChatGPT link, if that's okay with
Oh,
me.
let me give that to you right now. Let me just give it to you right now. Thank you, because I can just go and copy it and give it to all you guys.
Do you need to do the share thing first so it makes the link public?
Yep. Yep. Oh no, hold on a second. I almost just shared the Chris or the when I jumped in, like, okay, here it is. Yep, share. And I'm going to create a link. And I'm going to put it in the chat and just click on it right now just to make sure you got it. Because if you didn't, I'll figure out a different way to get it. But that should get everyone that. So it just kind of goes.
And just because it was for Mike doesn't mean that it's not valuable to you guys. So when Eve was saying, hey, this is asking these things or going ahead because it knows me, instead of having to watch this back, you can actually go back and copy and paste in part of that conversation to get those results if you're looking for something more than the GPT is giving you on your own. So there's a lot of benefit there for everyone to take a look at it, including myself, because I haven't been asked what the customer journey is, and I'm a little offended that my GPT doesn't know me that well. So I'm going to be using that myself.
That is 100% Donald Miller. Like, he is the one that took like the whole Joseph Campbell, your customer should be the hero. It's something that Crystal and I are teaching in people's profiles, on most people's profiles, whether it's their Instagram, their LinkedIn, they just say, this is what I do versus this is what will happen to you if you work with me. And it's all, I mean, it started off with Joseph Campbell. I went in, my background's in storytelling. So it literally started in storytelling. And that's like very just like script writing 101, make the hero who meets the protagonist, that and it applies right to marketing. And Donald Miller's the guy that really at least wrote about it for the first time in a way that is really easy to understand and is very much a marketing 101 framework.
So add it to your Christmas list or your holiday list and be sure to gift it to someone in your life that is an entrepreneur because I think that'd be a phenomenal stocking stuffer.
To go back to the content of the upcoming workshop, I already signed up for that. So I guess the Zoom links will be in the Facebook group. Is that the way it works?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
In terms of stacking the different GPTs, because I have already created like a conversation with the content of my book, but then I can go and reference that within, I can call the value bomb that you created for Laurel's, right? So this is one way to cross-reference information. How many GPT, but I plan to create a specific GPT for my book to have it there so I don't have to rely on ChatGPT's memory. How many GPTs can you stack on one another? I know that you can be within one and call the other one, so that's 2 GPTs. But do you know if there's a limit in terms of chaining them?
I haven't seen limits, but most people don't have like 300 GPTs that they
Right.
stack.
But how would you
They
stack more
have-
than 2 then?
oh, you just keep calling them.
Oh, and so you call one, you say at blah, 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 it comes in, and then it brings the knowledge in there already in the entire conversation. So if you
Yeah,
call it
so when
not,
when the new GPT comes, it's already aware of what's been happening beforehand.
but only within that conversation, or is it able to access everything that the previous GPT is aware of?
In the same window. So
Ah,
not when you're calling a GPT, that GPT cannot access the knowledge base and instructions of another GPT. They only access the conversation you're having. Just like when you're having a board meeting with staff members, only what comes out of their mouths is known to everyone. You cannot read their minds and access
okay.
their knowledge. So it's
So
exactly the same. It's like a board meeting.
got it. Okay,
So a
so
good,
it
let
doesn't
me
do
give
any
an
mind read.
example. I just want to give an example to people that might not be where you guys are at of what this is, just to paint a picture. So if we create this GPT that we're going to create for everyone in this workshop, you're going to have a GPT that knows your customer and your voice, right? And you can create content around that. I've created a GPT that is specific for writing an email sequence to send to existing customers to bring them back. You might not need to use that, but let's say you do. So you could open up the GPT that you create in the workshop and you could call in the GPT of the emails and they would talk to each other in a sense. They would know, like it would be like Monica's example, I love the boardroom. It's like you're calling in your email people and you're calling in your tone people and your customer, and they all come up with content based in that boardroom. But if you don't call in the Facebook one, if there's something specific, if that makes sense. Did I make sense or did that confuse you more?
It seems to me that you're saying the opposite of Monica just said, because my understanding was that a GPT has a bunch of knowledge. So let's say that I create a GPT that contains all my books. So it knows everything inside my book and it shows my knowledge. If I call a GPT, let's say for the value bombs, the one you created for Laurel, now it will know everything that's inside the GPT that I created,
No,
right?
no.
Ah,
It will know the conversation that you've been having so far. It will not read the mind of the other GPT, e.g., it will not be able to read the instructions and what's in its knowledge base.
so if GPT book has all the content of the book and I call in value prompt, GPT value prompt, it will not know the content of the book?
No.
But you can prompt it. So you can say, outline, let's say you want a value bomb based on one section of your book, right?
Right.
You could say, give a concise summary of this section of the book. It goes into that chat. Then you can say, write an email sequence based on that, and it will do it.
So what if I go into the value bomb generator GPT and then I upload in there all the PDFs of the chapters of the book? In that case, it will have access to that.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, it would be like saying I spoke for half an hour to the other members of the board, and because I provided it, now they're aware of it. But but you have to be proactive and included inside the conversation. It doesn't, it cannot read or be aware of everything else that the other GPT knows.
Unless you have that conversation in that chat. Like,
Correct.
I love the boardroom. I'm going to use that, steal that from you, Monica, because it's like, if you're going to go do a project, right, and you have 10 people on the project, they all need to be in the room and understand what they're saying, right? And the saying is when you're typing in that chat. So whatever comes up in that chat, it can pull from the GPT that you're in and then put it in the chat. And then when you bring the other GPT in, it has that information in that chat. So it can kind of work off of that.
Can you
And
do
let me give you another example. If you're having a board meeting about, say, a marketing project, and you bring your marketing person in that knows everything that has to know about marketing, and then you bring your designer who knows how to design cool stuff, right? But he doesn't know everything about the marketing. In real world, you're not gonna go and to the marketing person and be like, hey, give me this section of marketing that we need, and I'm gonna teach it to the designer person. You don't do that in real world. The marketing person goes, okay, we have a project where we have to advertise, the newest, I don't know, stilettos. And I think that the best way to go is to create ads that show a woman in red dress on, I don't know, on a London street. And this will just talk to professional women that are. The design person takes that knowledge. This is what we need to do, not the knowledge about marketing, and goes and designs an image. This is how it works in the real world. And this is what we're recreating with custom GPTs and virtual boardrooms.
Okay. So can you, because I have a conversation where I uploaded the 20 PDFs and each PDF is a chapter of my book. So that means that within the realm of that conversation, all the knowledge is in that conversation, right? So then what I did is I brought in a GPT. I don't remember it was the AI amplified GPT that I got from Jonathan in order to try to get answers that would be based on the content of my book. So that's one way where the specific GPT that I brought in would be able to access all the content of my book because all the content of the book was part of the conversation. Is that correct?
Yes, if it's the same GPT. But if you're bringing your book GPT, let's call it a book GPT, and your email GPTs into the same conversation, I'll probably bring the book GPT first and I'll say, hey, I want to send an email to my list about decision making. Which chapter of the book should we use? And the GPT will go, oh, we have to use chapter 5. And you'll be like, okay, what is the message in that chapter that will create a really good email? And your GPT will say, oh, this is, it will give you a summary. Then you bring your email GPT and you'll say, hey, based on the above conversation, can you create an email?
Okay, but that means that if I want some body of knowledge to be accessible to a specific GPT, I need to have the body of knowledge within a conversation, and then I bring in the GPTs. So can I clone a conversation so I don't have to create GPT? Because right now, if I start a conversation with the body of knowledge, then there's a conversation. But if I want to always use the same content, can I duplicate a conversation in ChatGPT? Do you know that? Or do I have to create another conversation where I re-upload all the PDFs again?
No, but something you can test, I haven't tested it because I've never done it, is get the link for the conversation, like Eve just gave it to you, and see if you bring that link and say, hey, this is the previous conversation we've had. Based on this conversation, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if it will work. Don't take my word for it, but it's something to try.
Got it. Okay.
I've done that not using GPTs, but just using ChatGPT and taking a link to a thread and putting it into a new chat, and it did reference it. So I think that would work.
Yeah, because when you're doing the board meeting, you're doing it in the normal ChatGPT window. You're not doing it in your GPT, generally. You can, but it's much easier if you're in a normal ChatGPT window, because then you can take this thread and take it anywhere.
Right. Okay. So even applying the value bomb generator, you would say, don't go into the GPT of the value bomb, just bring the value bomb generator GPT to a normal thread. Okay. I mean, all these are very subtle differences, but they make a difference. So thank you.
And that's the beauty of it. I mean, the thing is we love to say, like, AI is at its worst today. Tomorrow it's going to get better. So all these things, like, it's going to change. And I think the workshop that I did with Monica a couple weeks ago, it literally the day before, and I don't know, maybe it wasn't a couple weeks ago, but is when ChatGPT started doing sources. And I'm like, well, when we planned this workshop, Perplexity was the king when it came to sources. But guess what? I haven't played with it, so I don't have any information on it or experience with it. But I found out that ChatGPT now does sourcing. So go have fun, play with it, you know? And that's why I love getting into these masterminds and groups because we get to talk. And I just learned a bunch, Mike, from you asking Monica a bunch of questions because she's way more of the technical. When I was like, check this out, I learned this from Jonathan. And she's like, yeah, I've been teaching that for a year, Eve. I'm like, I knew we got to, I mean, this was good synergy because I just learned it watching one of his replays and just being like, I had no idea about ChatGPT stacking. But there's many ways around it because I was doing similar stuff. I just wasn't doing it that way, right? I mean, that's what I say with Monica's voice analysis. I have taken 3 different masterminds on how to get your voice, how to train ChatGPT to sound like you. The first one was through a thing called Skill Leap, Leap Skill, something like that. They did an okay job. This was about maybe 9 months ago. Then I took Jonathan's, which is robust. And then there's another person's that I took that was about a 2 hour and was very basic. And I had done Monica's in between. And I just told Monica, I'm like, yeah, this is like really cool because it actually is good. And I didn't have to do any prompting. You just load it up and it does it for you. So I was just like, this is something. Let's do something with this.
So, I mean, I have lots of questions. So you tell me when you want me to stop.
Yeah, you go. People are still on listening. I'm good.
I have done podcasts, right? So I've been interviewed as a guest and I talk about the book and so on. So this would be a great place to train GPT to know my voice. If I take the transcript of the podcast, will it know that there are 2 speakers and which part is my voice?
No,
No,
what you
you have
do,
to.
because I've done this, is you take that transcript into ChatGPT and you tell it to remove all of speaker one. I literally just did this like last weekend, and
Okay.
you tell it to remove all of speaker one, identify you, make sure it is speaker one, you know, and then you just say remove all of this speaker and just down to, and I even said remove all the time code so I could load it up and test it on when I was verifying that Monica created something really cool. I tested it on one of my clients who is very particular about how he sounds.
Right, right.
And it's
And I
not
think
an
that
easy voice to get. And it did a great job.
and what you said earlier is very important. I think there is a difference between how you sound when you write versus when you speak, right?
Yep.
So I think that if you ask GPT to create a video script, you want to make sure it uses your GPT from the way you talk, not from the way you
Yep.
write. So
And the beauty, you're going
When?
to get access for like what? We're going to give them access for a month. I mean, you could
30
do it in
days,
a
yeah.
day, but you can create your voice tone per what you want, right? It could be your written tone, your voice tone, your professional voice tone. If you want something casual and you just want to blah, 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 blah. If you want something like when you were on a podcast, you're written, you can have all of those different ones.
Yeah, my personal preference is to supply a transcript that is as casual as possible because this is your real way of talking. Like if you're, for example, if you go and do a TED Talk, this is not what you sound like.
yeah, TED Talk is
This is a
different. Maybe.
speech you've written, and it will give you a completely different analysis than if you're sitting in a bar talking to your friends. And I always, when I work with people, I'm like, just go and have a few drinks with people and turn your phone on when you talk. And then we'll get this transcript. Because we all use specific words. We use different types of sentences. We connect words together. Like there's so much going on in the way we speak. And none of us is thinking about it because this is our second nature.
Yeah, it's like the gait when you walk. It's specific to you. It's the same thing when you speak,
Yes,
right?
exactly. It's like a
Yeah.
fingerprint. We
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was
all
just
speak
thinking, it's like a
differently.
fingerprint.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you signed up. Then we get to spend all week with you. And just so you know, we're doing a bonus. I mean, I think we announced this, but we're announcing it on Saturday. If you want, we're going to jump on Zoom just for Q&A. So anyone that actually like, we're going to encourage people because a lot of people, and I have done this so many times, I go do a workshop, but I don't do my homework. I'm like, oh, I'll go watch the replay. And I don't, right? We're hoping we want to structure this in a way that you can actually do it. That's why like our second day is a little bit of the day before and a little bit of the next day. So you actually get to walk away with your GPT created. So we wanted to have a bonus day where again, you're in the Facebook group, so you can just ask questions anytime. But we wanted to have a bonus day where anybody could come on and be like, this is what's going on. It's not working, or check this out. And we'll just stay on for, however long and just answer questions.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, I just did, and he's going to have an extra day, Jonathan's AI Amplified. And what he talks about is really very, very, I think I wrote it. It's like, I thought always about ChatGPT or AI as an accelerator. He talks about being an amplifier. But to me, the fact that even though the work that we did today was valuable and it could get people a long way to be knowledgeable in the market, the real difference is going to be for people who have the plank knowledge versus the chauffeur knowledge. Like they really know what they talk about versus just having the content of ChatGPT. Because
Yeah.
ChatGPT will just echo or multiply or amplify what you do. And if you give 0.1 or 0, it's not going to get a high result. But if you have something really valuable to start with, then it's going to become massive for sure.
So did you take his topical authority
No, that was the
mastermind?
first workshop that I did was just last week, the AI Amplified. He's having an extra session tomorrow. So the timing works great because tomorrow is him and then you guys start on Wednesday, right?
Yeah, that's awesome because it's he and I've talked to Jonathan several times. He's great. I mean, I literally like early on just DM'd him. I'm like, I'm speaking at a conference. Can I pick your brain? That's why I love him. Talk about value. I mean, the guy's like a guru in AI, and he's like, yeah, let's jump on Zoom. But he taught a workshop, and it actually is literally Crystal and I's framework to our marketing. And this is where we're teaming up with Monica because it's literally creating blogs to put on your Facebook or to put on your website that then boost your SEO, but also like understanding what to write in those blogs. And AI actually writes them for you. And then taking those and turning them into social media content, right? But you can do all that stuff, but if you don't know what your ICA is and you don't have your tone, it's like, so that's where I really gravitated to Jonathan. I'm like, holy, like you are teaching these very like strategies or frameworks. And this is like, it was validating to me because I'm like, this is what Crystal and I are doing with our groups. This is what we're doing with our agency clients. It's like I decided we're not going to be a one size fits all. It's like, look, this is the framework of organic media marketing, like digital marketing. And you kind of have to have all of it. But with AI now, what used to seem daunting, like I can't write 3 blog posts a day or a week. It's like, you don't have to. You don't have to. And once you understand who your client is, and then you use AI to find out what are they asking today, what are they asking today about what's going on? And all of a sudden you write a blog post about it and you post it. And then you use a GPT to take that blog post and put it into LinkedIn, Twitter, X, Facebook, whatever. And you're doing all that with Monica's automation. It's like, it's so easy. You spend 2 hours and it's just done and stuff just starts happening. And one of the things I actually heard this from Gary Vee, but it's so true, is he's like, go do this for a year. And if your life hasn't changed, because it's all about content, right? Content value. He's like, if your business hasn't changed, I'll buy you lunch. And so I looked at Crystal because Crystal and I, before we teamed up with Monica, we're doing all this content for our clients, and we kept kicking the can down the road of actual content that we want to do because we're busy with our clients. And I finally said, let's do this. We've been doing it probably about 3 months, and the amount of people coming in is insane. The opportunities are getting like, it's too much. It's like, okay, let's figure out what we want to do. So it's like, I'm like, this works. Like, I'm seeing it work with my clients, I'm seeing it work with us. It's just, and that's why when people say, I look at like clients, if you want quick right now, go do Laurel's Facebook thing. It's going to take about 3 months to get, but you will begin to get leads if you follow her thing and you have a good offer, right? But it's also going to cost you money at the same time, because it's not an and, or it's not an or, it's an and. You should also be doing, because I love when Laurel says all a paid ad is organic content that you put money on, right? So it's like, start testing to see what your audience wants now, whether you're brick and mortar, a coach or whatever, what are they resonating with? I mean, one of our highest watched TikTok videos is the one of me. If you literally watch it without the sound on, I look like I'm yelling at you. Like I told Crystal, I was like, oh my God, I suck at this. And she's like, you're just a little intense.
It's on brand for her. It really is. And it's a
But I was giving good value because they listened. But I look at her and she's so sweet and people love her and she gets way more views than I do. I'm like, whatever, it's all good. We all have our pluses and minuses. But the thing is we're putting out a lot of content, but it's not taking us that much time. Like we have it in a system and it's working.
So Eve, this strategy, like writing articles, blogs, and so on, is that a workshop that you taught or that he taught and then you used it?
We never taught it as a workshop. It's what we do for our clients. And then he taught a version of it in a workshop. And
Which
I
was
was like,
the topical workshop or
topical authority. Yeah.
It's brilliant.
And it's really what he's doing is he's trying to sell, and now I don't even know if he gets a commission, but a guy created a software called Zim Writer.
Yeah.
That's what we use.
Okay.
You don't have to use it. You can definitely do the prompts. Crystal and I haven't pulled the trigger on it yet because it only works on PCs, but there's ways around that on a Mac and all this stuff. But you can prompt. It is about 30 prompts to get a very SEO, like a blog that's actually going to work. But then where Crystal and I take it even one step further, Jonathan doesn't teach this, is 2025, you're going to start hearing about GEO, generative engine optimization. And so we use AI to create YouTube videos, whether it's clients talking heads. Most of our clients, that's not it. Most of our clients are not coaches or anything like that. They're actually like businesses and have no desire being on camera. So we'll use AI to create videos based on the blog, right? Doing everything that we did today. I would have taken that script, but written it as a faceless reel or faceless video. And we use a program called Pictory. We create a video, we put that on YouTube, and then we put a bunch of information of the transcript and we plug in the SEO words and all that stuff, which ChatGPT tells us what to do. Because since YouTube is the second largest search engine next to Google, it's the spider web effect, right? So now, as Google's changing its algorithm on how it's crawling the interwebs and how it's looking for content, it now is pulling way more, even on social media. Like Crystal and I worked together on a television show, and it used to be the trend on Instagram that your caption wasn't that long, right? You didn't have a long caption on Instagram. Now you do. Now it doesn't matter if people read it or not. The ones that want to read it, great, they're going to get the information. It's about SEO and GEO because it all begins to link together to where pretty soon someone's going to Google divorce help or whatever, and one of your Instagram posts is going to come up because you put the keywords and stuff like that. So a lot of it, people are doing all the right stuff, but they have all the ingredients to make the cake, but they're leaving out like the vanilla and the salt and like the stuff that actually is going to make it good. and it's like cheap ingredients that you just have to throw in, you know? So that's kind of what we're teaching people how to do. And we're forming with Monica kind of in real time of a longer, we haven't even decided, do we make it a 6-week course? Do we make it a 6-month thing where we can take people through instead of doing these one-off 3-day workshops, which I like doing because it's, you know, I like hanging out with new people, but we're talking about, can we take our entire ecosystem and combine it with a lot of the automation and actually do like a school that is a limited time that people, if they want still support, they can pay. We're kind of coming up with that just because I'm realizing, again, it's all like I've learned a lot from Jonathan, but he keeps everything very chunked, right? And maybe he won't in the future, but you know, I mean, he is the guru. I love that man. And again, value. People are like, why do you tell your clients or your students about your number one competitor? I'm like, I am not a competitor of Jonathan. He is like Ivy League, you know, I'm, you know, not at all, but I'm learning from him, you know, and so it's like I will pass what I get from him. You might get something totally different from him. It's like I have many coaches and I take many masterminds because I'm just like obsessed with it.
And also, there's a, by the way, picture is the one with the little octopus
Yeah.
logo. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
And there's also the fact that even if you recommend Jonathan, I mean, he has some great things to do, but again, you provide value, and then you guys have your own spin on things, right? So it's not only about, even if it were the same kind of information, then you bring your own spin, your own angle, your own perspective, your own energy, your own way to use it, your own perspective. So yeah, I think it's, and I'm super happy to actually see, because I'm listening to a lot of podcasts. You know, there's How I Build This or Wisdom from the Top, Guy Raz, who's like this huge podcaster. But the theme that I'm listening more and more is like people finally are realizing it's about really providing value, really treating people with respect. You know, I think that the whole economic model is changing, or we're being forced to change, right? Because at the end of the day, people are getting smarter because they have to. Otherwise, they're so bombarded, they have to find a way to survive all this information and messaging around. So I'm thrilled. Thank you so much. I mean, I've thoroughly enjoyed this much more than I thought I would. So thank you guys.
Well, that's the testimonial.
Yeah.
I
Also, I
enjoyed this
just
way
want to
more
say
than I thought I would.
something.
Yeah.
It's also about providing practical solutions, because a lot of the big gurus and the big YouTubers, they talk and show you how to create really cool stuff. And then it's got absolutely no practical application. I mean, it's super cool, but that's about it. You cannot implement it in your business, or you cannot sell it to anyone. So it's just, you know, like having a really expensive hobby. Let's spend 3 days creating this super cool thing. Then I can just say, I created this super cool thing. I'm awesome. But now, you know, I'll just put it on a shelf.
There's someone that Crystal and I follow, and we followed him early on. I won't mention names just because I don't want to, but his whole shtick was basically to get you to go in and buy his software, you know, and you realize that at the end, and we spent all this time, and it was like these nuggets of stuff, but we wanted more, going exactly to what Monica just said, where it's like, that's cool, but what do I do with it? And maybe I could do, but I want to ask. And then at the end, it was all like, okay, now go buy our software that's $100 a month, and this is going to solve all your And I was like, oh, okay. So
Not fun. Not fun. And in regards to Jonathan, I just want to say collaboration over competition, always, always, always. The fact that because the three of us could look at each other as competitors too, but we're better together, we're stronger together. Why not why not give Jonathan the credit that he deserves? Why not boost him up? Because it boosts everyone up. You know, what do you say? Even rising tide lifts all ships. I mean, it's just, that's exactly what it comes down to is, and
100%.
we look at business that way, like we can't lose. We really can't lose. Clearly, I'm the one with a lot of feelings, but you can't lose if it's collaboration over competition.
And full disclosure, I got on a Zoom with Jonathan because am going to sign up for his like yearly mastermind. And I said, look, full disclosure, because I won't sign up for it if you disapprove of this. I'm teaching the same thing you're teaching. So I want to learn from you because you are teaching stuff that I haven't even considered. If you knowing that information, if you don't want me in your mastermind, I won't be in it. And he was like, love that you brought that up. No, totally join. Basically said the same thing Crystal just said. And he's like, just if you take something like directly from me, give me a shout out. And from that day on, and I haven't even joined his mastermind yet, I shout him out all the time because he's a good guy. Like he's literally just a good guy that I'm just like, how can you not like a guy with a white beard that, his business is literally white beard strategy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, clearly he understands branding and made himself the brand, and he's just, I like how he teaches, I understand him going to your point of like, we put a different spin on it. I was a teacher a long time ago and teaching media arts to kids in high schools. So it's like a lot of times will repeat myself over and over, or I get ahead of the pain points being like, this is fire hose to the face. Okay. Like just go with it. Where some other people, like sometimes Jonathan goes so fast, he has to do another one because people were like, too fast. I didn't get it. And so it's all what you like. What Monica said, you're going to repel certain people and attract certain people. Be you. So you attract the people that you want to be in your circle.
So when you say you guys joined, and you don't have to answer my question, by the way, so feel free. So you were independent professionals, and then you decided, let's team up because we each have like a superpower that we can. So like you are the Avengers, like you each have a superpower, and you decide to be a group. Is that the way it worked?
Very organic. I was creating a GPT. Crystal and I used to work with each other on a television show. She was our digital strategist, and I loved her and I loved her brain and how she thought. And I was impressed that she was like this guru of an influencer. And so when we decided to leave TV and we formed a business together doing more agency stuff. I used to work with Laurel on that same television show. So I've known Laurel forever. And so Laurel was like, hey, we're having some in-person thing, come hang out with us. So that's how we kind of got into her world and like the Joe Polish and the Chris Voss. And then I was building that GPT for Laurel and I was stuck. And Laurel's like, well, you should talk to one of my former students, Monica. I'll introduce you. So I got on a Zoom with Monica. She didn't ask me for money. I said, well, you look at this. I can't figure out what I'm doing. She helped me with the GPT. And I was like, hey, I go into Laurel's group once a month and I do a free like AI like workshop. Come do it with me sometime. I think it was 6 months later. And we had gotten on Zoom a couple times and we just like jamming together, where then we finally did it. And then the more we talked and the more it just became like, again, it's all like organically happening in real time, to where I got on a Zoom with Monica like Saturday. I don't even remember when. I'm like, okay, here's what we're going to do next. This is my idea, blah, blah, and she's like, okay, Crystal doesn't even know some of it. So it's all happening in real time, what we're trying to do. But yes, to answer your question, yeah, we all found out that we're really good at something and we team up really well.
And you're in Brisbane, Monica, right? So it's like what, 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning right now your time?
Hang on.
I'm
6:29.
gonna leave you guys now.
Goodbye.
Again,
Thank you, Martin.
fantastic. Thank you. Enjoy. I'll come back in a few hours and see how you're going.
Oh, we have, in
Wow.
3.5 hours, we have a call for our school community. You can come back and say hello.
Oh my God.
Fantastic. It's been brilliant though. I've loved it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for staying so long.
You're really welcome. Cheers.
Bye, Martin. So
Yeah,
you are
it's really
really
good.
committed. I mean, waking up that early to be full, speed and full energy. That's remarkable.
Oh, I'm such a morning person. I'm like, bright eyes, bushy tail. It doesn't matter what time you wake me up. And, people hate me because I'm the most morning person ever.
Well, night people may hate you, but morning people should, relate to you for sure.
Yeah.
And Crystal, you said that you learned, I mean, you are so fluent in English. I mean, you're Quebecer, right?
Yeah, from West Island. Yeah.
Right, okay, West Island, that's why. Okay, because your English is like flawless. There's no accent. So it's like, how can she be Quebecer with it?
Yeah, I've been in America for since 2001. So
Yeah, but you grew up speaking English, right?
Yeah, I went to French immersion, so we did our 75% français, 25% anglais, and
Okay.
going back and
Because
forth.
this,
My grandmother's French.
yeah, you're
Uh,
like a perfect native speaker. I mean, I speak English well, but I still have an accent, which may be part of my personality, but
I love
definitely you are completely
it.
fluent.
Honestly, listening to you talk makes me feel like home, and I haven't been back in quite some time, so I enjoy it very much. But yeah, French first, then English. But yeah, I think we learned English probably was about 3 or 4 when I started being more on the English side, and just because when you're in the West Islands, kind of how it is, you know.
For sure, for sure.
What part of town are you from?
Well, my girlfriend, I used to live on the plateau,
Yep.
and then I was spending so much time on weekends in Mont-Tremblant. Mont-Tremblant is a ski resort. This is for Eve and Monica. And I love snowboarding, so I used to come here on weekends. I love it. And then I was spending so much time because I was working from home that we decided to buy a house here. So now I'm in Mont-Tremblant today and spend time at her place, which is a bit further north in Huntsic.
Sure, 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 sure.
Mm,
Oh,
yeah.
God, Tremblant. Sorry. I need to get back home. That's my favorite part of going to visit is when I pass customs, they look at my passport and they go, Bienvenue, welcome back home. And I'm like, thank you. It's so nice. It's so nice. And every time I go back and they go to the US customs, they're like, what do you want? What are you doing here? I'm like, yeah,
I live here.
it's night and day.
Well, thank you
Well,
again, Mike, for letting us just pick your brain and give all that stuff. Were you able to open up that link?
yeah, I was. So it works. It works. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
good,
yeah.
good,
As I
good.
said, I was quite impressed by how on point it was, and it gave me some ideas at the customer journey, which it's funny because I got into Donald Miller's story branding fairly recently through another venue, but I think it's a great combination. So,
Literally, I use him for like not everything, but a lot. Like it really, yeah,
it's just a great framework, right? If you think about it. I mean, it's like,
yes,
and
yep,
it is a combination of Dan Kennedy's taking the problem, but it just ties it up nicely. And what I learned from Donald Miller was the value of less is more.
yeah,
Like, less words is more.
yes,
Be
yes.
clear because clarity trumps everything else, even in your communication.
And again, it's hard to read the label from inside the bottle. I say this to Crystal, show it to your husband. Does he understand it? Because like we learned this from a coach that communication, there's context in our head that we just assume or like not assuming, but we think the other person has. And I'm like, they have no idea. So it's like really, yes, the
Communication,
tap,
right?
tap, tap. Yes.
Yeah.
The rocky road. I love that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Such a
So
great reminder.
Laurel and Nick are with us today, you guys.
yeah, that's awesome.
Here and
All right. Well, I think this is a
Okay,
good
guys,
spot
thank
to
you. It was,
end it.
I got a blast. So looking forward to seeing you on Wednesday. And thank you so much for having spent so much time with us and with me. So thanks again.
And now the big dog comes in.
À bientôt. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye. Bye,
Bye,
guys.
guys.
Thank you.
Bye.